Hi, and welcome to the Outquisitions podcast, where we spotlight industry leaders redefining success. The goal of each episode of the podcast is to uncover their stories, their strategies, and insights to inspire, inform, and really elevate your own journey. So let's dive into today's conversation with yet another super inspiring guest. If you want to listen to a really interesting talk, then stay tuned. Jonathan, great having you on the podcast. How are you?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Kelly.
Yeah, great. So, to kick things off, first question, can you please present yourself and your company?
Well, um, I came from a corporate background, and one day, maybe 8 years ago, I believe, I just woke up and decided I'll walk away. It burned me out, and there were very strong telltale signs of burnout, and so I said that I think I'm ready to go on my own. I'll establish my brand as a management consultant. But as in most things in life, opportunities arise from places that you least expect them. So I got this call from NobleProg, and they said that they're establishing their market initially in the Philippines. I'm Filipino, and so they said, help establish this presence in this market. And then a few months after, it slowly expanded. Why don't you take care of Southeast Asia? A year after, why don't you take care of Hong Kong, Australia, New Zealand? And so it went on. And about the company where I am, it's a franchise model, Killian. So I'm a franchisee of Southeast Asia. Aside from Southeast Asia, it also includes Hong Kong, New Zealand, Australia, and the latest is Taiwan. Uh, I've been asked to take care of that market as well. Our core competency is in technology courses. We help individuals, organizations, right, gain skills in different technologies, but it I can divide it into three main areas, if you will allow me.
Right.
Uh, the first would be in automation, right? We have courses available, uh, off the shelf, if you will, but at the same time, bespoke courses, right? And then the other area would be on much in demand now, data analytics. There are many tech platforms that would address a an organization's needs for data analysis. And lastly, on programming, software engineering, and so on. So
Right.
that's where we are right now, and that's where we are able to establish ourselves as, I can say, a leading solutions provider in that niche market. Right?
Right.
Does that help get you to get to know the company better, Killian?
Yeah, it does. It does. Thank you. So I guess those symptoms of burnout that you experienced before, you don't have them anymore, right? Are you safe now?
Absolutely, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay, brilliant. Nice. So who do you then serve? Because from what I hear, it seems like you can serve many people and many different organizations. But do you focus on specific niches or not?
Well, we focus on the solutions. We don't focus on particular market segments, if that's the question, right?
Okay.
Because we've served a whole range of industries, from manufacturing, banking, services, government, okay, hospitality, even. All right, um, and yeah, some services which includes business process outsourcing companies, right? So we don't limit ourselves. We don't try to segment the market by looking at the type of industries they are in. We look at what what expertise we can provide, to help these companies, all right, either transform themselves digitally, all right. There have been many changes, and it has accelerated the past year, I should say. And so we are quite conscious with that because we saw the need to be able to help organizations take on, let's say, a short-term or long-term projects or achieve organizational outcomes
Right.
to make the organization perform better, be more profitable, and so on. So, yeah.
Mm. Okay. So how do you deliver this consulting or this coaching training? What's the mechanism?
If you're talking about the mode, so we have two modes of delivery.
Mhm.
Okay, we have what we call on-site, meaning we fly in there, all right,
Right.
wherever they are. Okay, and organize a training event for our customers. The more popular one nowadays, and this has been true since 2020 when the pandemic hit all of us, with no exception, right? Is through remote delivery, through this medium that we're using right now. The advantage there is that it lowers the cost of delivering the training because most of our experts, trainers, we call them, are outside of Southeast Asia, outside of my territory. Okay, so we need to fly them in from, let's say, South Asia, Europe, the Middle East, right? And that adds to the cost. But delivering it remotely takes away those other costs. But at the same time, we were very conscious that um, the learning environment, right, needs to remain optimal, right? The cost may be lower, but we don't want to sacrifice quality. So we've developed tools that will enable us to deliver even remotely through to our own platform. We call it the desktop. Okay,
Right.
it's a training platform that would have data centers across the globe. Okay,
Mhm.
own data centers that would allow us to have teaching tools for practical exercises for our training delegates.
Right. So
So
would you
so
say,
we don't use or we don't if you look at the whole spectrum of training delivery modes, we are not into asynchronous learning. We are more into live instructor-led training, whether it be on-site or remotely.
right? So would you say, I mean, especially since COVID, right? Now it's, remote is king. Would you say if you have the right tools that you've mentioned, um, that it's actually way more efficient to stay remote and have this mode of delivery? Would you say we have more efficiency right now thanks to this?
Um, that's a tough question, but if I may just go back to my experience in delivering these training courses, I would say that it's more cost efficient. Yes, that's correct. But in terms of learning outcomes, I'll have to rely on our outputs, training outputs. And what do I mean by that? Those would be our training evaluations from the gates themselves,
Right.
right? I don't see a correlation right now on whether it's remote or on-site as to the overall evaluation. What I can see would be some inefficiencies when it comes to remote training. It can be as simple as unstable internet connection.
Mm,
All right. It can be as simple as the delegates not having enough, let's say, machine resources to be able to carry the learning tools. Okay. But other than that, I don't see any much difference. Now, if I were be to ask, I would say that the cost efficiency coming from an organization, like a customer, the cost efficiency would factor very high in a decision whether to do it on site or remotely.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Okay, interesting. How do customers or prospects, let's say leads, know about you? How do they come to you in terms of marketing?
Okay. Maybe I make my region as an example. All right.
Mhm.
So when we started in the Philippines and Southeast Asia later on, we expanded. Um, there's not there's not much awareness about NobleProg. Now we were very conscious of how we're able to keep a prominent presence in the web by promoting our front ends. So that's where things happen. And we have a very robust and soon to be fully automated end, right, where customers come in with the front end and look at our offerings. And through that, we are able to get uh, bookings, course bookings. Now, we are aware at managing corporate business, you need to establish relationships with your customers, right? So we were very conscious that with each customer that is booking our course, we're able to continue the conversation even after the training course has been delivered. Our training courses would have an average delivery duration of maybe, let's say, 3 days. So it's short, right? Short but intense. Okay,
Hmm.
because it really focuses more on the practical side. Okay, um, what we want is to be able to delight the customer during the pre-course preparation and of course the course delivery. But at the same time, after that, we'd like to be able to continue the conversation with our customers so that we'd be able to capture their future needs, right? And to that end, Killian, if you will allow me to continue um, this this uh, this thought, we've been quite successful. A good one fourth of our customers are repeat customers.
Mm.
Okay. Meaning that they see us as a trustworthy partner in delivering their requirements. We have the solutions. We're able to deliver those solutions. And so we are top of mind whenever they would have additional requirements,
Mm.
right? So, but yeah, it's through the World Wide Web, if you will,
Yeah,
that
right.
we have a heavy presence. Yes.
Okay, okay. So what's next for you, Jonathan, for the next 12 months? And so for you as a leader of your company and for the company, what are the main goals and the next steps?
Okay. The overall mission of the company vision will be to enable us to have training courses, consultancy projects in an affordable and accessible way. Okay. Um, we need to be able to achieve that. We need to be able to scale our solutions platforms. All right. That's a tricky thing because scaling can mean will need uh, significant investments. That's why the franchise model works well for us.
Right.
Okay. Um, at the same time, we want to make it affordable by automating, if not the whole process, because you need to have still human interaction. Of course, in the training delivery, that's a given. You need to have human interaction, right? But in the pre and post course, we want to be able to automate a whole lot of the processes that takes away human intervention to make it faster, maybe to make it more accessible, uh, and so to make the whole process less expensive, if that's the right word, or with less expense, meaning for the whole back end process. That's the global um, goal. In my region, we're talking about markets that are um, well, potentially huge markets, and I'm talking about Indonesia. How many? What's the population of Indonesia, and what's the demographics in Indonesia? Right. Talk of Vietnam. Okay. You talk of, let's say, Singapore, although it's a small country, city state, all right, with the population and maybe to a larger extent Malaysia, but they are into they drive their economy through technology. I have met with clients from Malaysia and Singapore, and they want digital transformation across their organization, right? And they recognize that to survive they need to do that. And I'm talking of established financial institutions. I mean, the giants themselves recognize that unless they change, they 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 run the danger of extinction. And so this is a very diverse market, different cultures, different languages. So for the next 12 months, we need to be able to identify individual market characteristics, and they can be so different from one another. Okay, and be able to address how we are able to present our solutions to be able to match their own requirements. In Singapore, a company in Singapore may have different requirements from a company in say the Philippines or Thailand. We need to be able to recognize that, not one size fits all, and that's a big challenge, really.
Right. What's what would be the consequences if you don't solve those challenges? What's at stake?
Well, first, immediate would be we won't be able to achieve growth,
Right.
right? And right now, we need to be able to grow, to be able to create more investments, right? Um, and while from the franchise at the franchisor level, rather, it's a robust environment where you have systems engineers, developers, content creators, able to study the different technologies and adapt to emerging trends or current trends, if you will.
Mhm.
Um, uh, may mean that if we cannot grow and make further investments in my region, um, I, 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 I think within the next 3 to 5 years, some serious competitors may be able to approximate what we're doing right now. I
Wow.
thought, look, I'm talking about the niche market, right? It's really profitable, all right, but it's a niche market, and we control it at the moment in my region,
Mhm.
right? Um, but without those objectives of growing, we might see ourselves as being overtaken later on. Not in the next year or so, but maybe 3 5 years down the line.
Right. Right. Interesting. Okay. Another subject, and this will be my last question. How about AI? I've been doing those podcasts some time now, and of course, AI in terms of training, coaching, consultancy, it's reshaping the entire service delivery of like everything, literally. What's the place of AI right now in your company, and how do you see it evolving in the next 12 months as well?
Okay, maybe I'll answer that into three parts. First is I agree with you absolutely, 150, 200%. Okay, it's gonna change everything.
Right.
Maybe not now, but it's changing a lot of things right now for us, right? Um, uh, on our solutions, we are prepared to provide AI solutions as training courses
Mm.
to our clients. So that's something we are experts in, and we continue to lead with our expertise. In our backroom process, that's happening right now. Okay, that's happening. In fact, if I will, today is 20, maybe as far back as 4 or 5 years ago, the vision then was to automate. Back then, automate practically everything that we can automate.
Right.
All right, it's a long process. Yes, we have achieved much. Yes, but it's still an ongoing process. The third dimension I'd like to talk about would be what does it do to our market, right? And that creates a lot of opportunities for us. Why? You know, I think we need to admit to ourselves that AI does change a lot of things, and one thing that it is changing, will change in the future, will be the type of jobs available, right, in the economy. Maybe in each economy it will vary to a certain degree, but it does change things. NobleProg is prepared and able to reskill and upskill employees, members of an organization that may see what their roles right now, what they're doing right now, disappearing within the next year,
Mhm.
and they need to have new skills, okay, to be able to remain relevant in the workplace. So that's how I see AI. Does
Okay.
that answer the
It
question, Julian?
does. Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, great, great. And yeah, I think it's a great ending. So if anyone listening right now is interested in opening up a conversation with you or anyone else within your company, is that even possible? And if so, how can they do so?
Absolutely, it's possible. There might be an AI that can talk to them 12 midnight my time. I'm kidding. Uh, just visit no, just type NobleProg, okay? NobleProg, and we're there on the web, okay?
Because it's that easy.
Just
Yeah,
it's that easy. Just go to our front end, and you can choose from different medium of conversation or communication. You can email us, you can chat with us, you can call us, you can visit us, whatever. You can already present an inquiry. Oh, I wanna have this. Can you quote for me for this, for let's say 10 of my team members for this particular course? As easy as that.
great. Thank you, Jonathan, for the podcast. It was great.
My pleasure.